I decided, one of the things that built my confidence, huge. Up until a point in my career, I would just drag people in front of presentations. I would either play a video or I would drag people in front of a meeting, and the meeting or the video would do the presentation, and then I would follow up afterwards. And even in the follow-up, I'd be introducing them to somebody else. I'd get them on a three-way call. I'd show them some other little training video. I'd do all kinds of different stuff. So it's not me, not me, not me, not me, not me, not me, not me. And that works to a point. But I want you to hear me on this. You need to learn to say the words. The words need to come out of your mouth. You need to be able to tell the company story. You do. You need to be able to tell the product story. You need to be able to share the compensation financial freedom possibility story. You need to tell the timing story. You need to tell the support story. You need to be able to ask a person to take action at the end of a presentation. You need to be able to introduce yourself and tell your story. You need to be able to do these things. And to a certain level, you will always lack confidence until you do those things, from my experience, because you're outer dependent. You need the support mechanism. You need somebody else to show up. You need the big event. You need all this different stuff. I decided, somebody did this training, and they said, hey, the person with the marker makes the money. I went, Is that true? And I looked around, and it was. All the people doing the presentations, all the people hosting the meetings, they were all the leaders of the market. Wow, isn't that something? And everybody else was just kind of getting by. They're making a few bucks. They're okay. They got their little business, but to graduate to that other level, these people were saying the words. Why is that, I wonder? So here's what I did. I started with my story. And the first company I was with, way back, 1988, was very testimonial driven. And there was a 60-second testimonial. My testimonial was something to the effect of, hi, my name is Eric Worre. I'm a retired underachiever. I barely escaped high school, and I had 18 jobs by the time I was 22 years old. I was a little bit scared, but I found an opportunity to be able to finally step into myself a little bit, and here's what's happened since. Something like that. Okay? That was my little story. And so I learned that story, first thing. And that started to build my confidence, because if I met somebody for breakfast, I could tell my story. If I got on a phone call, I could tell my story. If I went to started a training event, I would start by telling my story. So it gave me something to hang myself on, my hat on, whatever. The second thing I did was I learned the company presentation. Here's the information about the company. Here's all the brag points about the company. Here's all the brag points and benefits and features of the product. Here's all the brag points of the compensation plan. Here's the timing situation that we have on our hands. Here's the support system that is available if you decide to join. And here's the call to action. And here's how I went through that process. The number one earner in the company did it the same every single time. He never deviated at all. He told the same jokes, had the same pauses, same intro, same close, but he was number one. So I said, well, number one's a good place to start. So I recorded his presentation, and I transcribed it word for word onto a legal pad. Pause, rewind, pause, rewind. And then I recorded my own voice into an audio cassette. Remember when you could buy different lengths of audio cassette? So this one was about a 20-minute presentation, with nobody in the audience. So I had it. I got a 40-minute tape, so I could do 20 minutes on one side, and then it would flip over in the car and play 20 minutes on the other side. Remember that? Yeah. I miss cassettes. Isn't that sad? It's weird, right? But I do miss them. I still have them. I'm not letting go. But I recorded my voice doing the presentation, and I listened to it for the first time, and it was terrible. The person said to me, I don't like the sound of my voice. It was just like, I would never sign up with me. Ever. This is awful. This is the worst. So I recorded it again and again, and I found if I smiled a little bit, the energy on the audio would change, and I did it with a little bit more intensity versus trying to be all cool. A little bit more intensity and a little bit more energy, and finally it was okay. And by doing it like 5, 6, 7 times, reading it 5, 6, 7 times, and I told the same jokes. Same jokes, I didn't change the jokes. Joke worked for him, worked for me. They're corny, stupid, but doesn't matter. He did it, I'm going to do it. So I did the jokes, I did all the stuff, I finished all that, and then I listened to it in my car 5,000 times. It never stopped. It just kept flipping over and flipping over and flipping over and flipping over and flipping over, and I'd listen and listen until I had memorized it. And here's how I viewed this. As an introverted person, this was nervous to me. I viewed it like it was my lines in a play. That's how I viewed it. I had to learn my lines. It was like a monologue. It was like a little one-man play. And I could do any one of the acts of it. You asked me to just do the product? No problem, got it. Takes 6 minutes. You want to do the compensation plan? Summarize that? No problem, 7.5 minutes. Company introduction? Got it, 4 minutes. Got it, I'm ready to go. I did it a couple thousand times, and then I practiced a few times, and everybody's like, whoa, that's pretty amazing. How'd you do that? I just wrote it down, put my voice into a recorder, listened to it 5,000 times till I learned the words, and then I just did it with you. How'd it work? We think it's great. When are you going to do the next one? We're going to bring some people. Huh. Now all of a sudden my team is starting to perform a little bit to get people in front of me. I could do a short version in a home meeting. I could do a really short version on the phone. I actually did a short version, what I call a sizzle call, of that script in about a 7-minute form that I taught my team to 3-way people into this recorded message with a local phone number, and people would just listen to that little 7-minute pitch, and then they'd get them on a 3-way call with me. I could do a long version. I could do a training version of it if I wanted to for an hour and a half and really train on all these different things if I felt like it. But all of a sudden, because I said the words, and how many people here are educators? You've been in the education business? You've been a teacher? Who learns more, the student or the teacher? Teacher. Teacher learns. There were so many times I was not having a good day, but then I did a presentation and I fired myself up again. I was like, dang it, this is really amazing. I don't know why I was having a bad day, but my own presentation worked its way. It burned a groove in my mind. But learning the words changed my confidence game so dramatically. And some of you are like, well, I'm not a presenter. I'm nervous. This scares me. I was nervous too. I had to trick my mind. And you can, I promise you. You can. I promise. You can trick your mind. If there was a McDonald's commercial, or forget McDonald's, there was a, American Cancer Society commercial, and they were going to pay you $100,000, and you had to go on and you had to deliver your lines. You had to learn your lines. You had to do a little 2-minute thing for that commercial, and you auditioned for it, and you practiced enough. Here's what I know. You could do that. You could do that. So here's what I also know. Inside of the speaking thing, what I wish for you is that you learn the words and that you use the words because of what it will do for you. And it not only did something for me, but my team looked at me different. They started to perform. They started to drag people in front of me. I started to become the presentation. I was credibility, validation. I was their security blanket just because I learned the presentation. And I was like, okay. This is good. I became somebody. I became known. One of my little goals was to become known. I want the company to know me. I want the leaders to know me. I want them to know my name. Instead of I was an invisible student, I don't want to be an invisible distributor. I want to introduce myself to everybody. Okay? So I did that. And the lessons learned from there and the actual results there are dramatic. Now, half of you are petrified at the moment. You're like, you're telling me I need to, like, say the words. Only if you want to go to the top. Only if you want to go to the top. And what I learned from these experiences is people are nice, so long as you don't try to pretend that you're something that you're not. People are nice. They're okay. They're going to give you all kinds of comfort and slack. So, second thing I learned to do when it came to presenting was to do a little basic training. So the company did a little basic training. You're probably more comfortable with a basic training, aren't you, than with an opportunity presentation, because they're your friends now. They're inside the group now, right? So this is all just about tricking your mind. You'll be able to trick your mind to be able to get there. And repetition will build confidence. It will. Skill will build it. Repetition will build it. And then the proper feedback will build it. Okay? The second thing, the next part of my evolution in my network marketing career is learning how to do a training.